Okay, welcome to Fahrenheit Performance Podcast, episode number 45. We have Boon back. How are your legs?
A lot better now.
Okay.
Not so good on Sunday.
So this is the Tuesday after the Tour de France. No, Wednesday after the Tour de France, right?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big race. You enjoy yourself?
Yeah, man. It's it's crazy atmosphere, man. I definitely enjoyed myself. You know how often you get to race with the best in the world, and
I know.
What a crazy historic moment for Kev as well.
Yeah.
Sending him off with that whole guard of honor, and him winning. And
As soon as I saw them kind of going perpendicular to the track, I knew that something was
we
up.
weren't briefed as well. Like, it was just like on the moment, and it was actually quite. I think they wanted to keep it quite authentic and special.
Yeah.
So they just told us, look, line up like this, and then just do this, and then like
Go with the flow.
You see it coming, and you're like, shit, man. And obviously when we did it, we were like, yeah, that's cool. But then you look back at it, you see the pictures, right? And to contextualize it, this is the greatest Tour de France athlete ever, one of the best sprinters ever, and he's choosing Singapore to finish off his race, right?
I know, right?
I think it's just a pretty special thing for the cycling community here. Yeah. And I told him that, I told him, look, like you don't, maybe you don't quite understand what it means to the Singaporean community that you chose, like the great Mark Cavendish, right? You could retire anywhere in the world and, get sent off and to the biggest of audiences, but you chose Singapore.
A lot of people ridicule the race, right? And just because people, it's off season of not really paying attention and it doesn't count to anything, right?
Yeah.
But for Singaporeans, it's a big deal because it's not like we go to Europe and we can see all the races. It's the only chance we get to see them, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also don't understand how hard it actually is. There's actually there's actually a testament to how good these guys are.
Yeah.
Like how amazing athletes they are. Like in the off season, they just pick up a bike and they can tear your legs apart.
Their worst is still better than our best.
Oh, it's crazy, and it shows you the level. It's just actually really hard for like common folk to understand how good these guys are.
Yeah. And
then obviously as an athlete, you train and you have a power meter and you look at your watts per kilo and the numbers, and then you then race alongside them, and it just drives the point home. Not only like physically how good they are, but technically as well.
Yeah, the smarts. And you've been racing there so many times. They know where the gaps are. They know how to close them. They know how to bridge.
Even the little things on how they take a corner and how fluid they are on the bike. I suppose I was lucky enough to race behind them and race with them. So you can see like all these little things, the finer points of handling your bike, the technical finesse they have.
Yeah.
It's just something to behold.
Yeah, man. So you were episode 8. This is episode 45.
Yep.
What have you been doing? You told me that you were retiring, or you're retired. You just started practice.
Yeah.
And I think between then and now you've had a baby, right?
Yeah, a few moving parts.
Yeah.
A lot going on. And I would never expect myself to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't really, I was kind of going with the flow a little bit.
Yeah.
I think at that stage in life when I was speaking to you back then, there were just so many things going on.
A lot of things were new, right?
Correct.
And you didn't know how they're going to play out.
Right? Yeah, and I didn't really want to put pressure on myself. And to be honest, I think, cycling as a competitive sport for me is not high on the priority list right now because of, the business and family.
Yeah, of course.
And as it should be.
Yep.
But I still really enjoy it, and I think that's why I still continued in some sense. And in fact, it was just my outlet.
Yeah.
Of trying to seek some reprieve from.
Well, I still see you out every Sunday, right?
Yeah.
I ride along, I'm coaching some people, and then all of a sudden the trains go past. Yeah, they do. You're always in there somewhere.
Like I get out with the boys, and they keep me honest, and I try to keep them honest too.
Yeah.
And
the training's going okay? You're still out at least once a week, so a few times a week?
Yeah, I think I do about 3 to 4 times a week now.
Okay.
I mean, nothing like what I used to do.
Mm.
In fact, with overall hours, I think I haven't done a
10 hours,
10-hour week.
Yeah.
I think I did my first 10-hour week last month actually.
Which is down from 2025?
2025, yeah. So my first 10-hour week in more than a year last month.
And that was to get your fitness back to last weekend, right?
Yeah. But it's just now about enjoying what I have on the bike. It's like I said, it's a bit of a reprieve for me, and I think that the competition element keeps me interested in going, and then I try to enjoy cycling for what it is, because that's what it's all about.
What I found, so I've been doing Fahrenheit for 8 years now, almost 9 years now, right? And I used to ride a lot at the beginning, and now I don't ride nearly as much. And I've found that the fitness stays,
Yeah.
and it takes a long time to lose it.
Yeah.
But then once it's lost, it takes equally a long time to get it back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I definitely still have some muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, some people ask me like, "Oh, how do you even do like 6-8 hours a week and then still maintain this level of fitness?" And I said, "Look, I'm not trying to brag or whatever, or try to underplay how tough it is. As for cycling, it's a sport or the competitive element of it. But don't forget, I've been doing it for 15 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've been kind of like racing and doing all that big amount of training for 15 years. So there is some of that still needs.
You've already carved the statue, and now you're just topping up every bit.
Of course, if I want to step it up and go to the regional level and be a part of the bigger bike races and the more competitive bike races and go to the SEA Games, there's no shortcut around it. I have to step up wherever I'm at with training.
Yeah.
But I would say for a 1-day race, and not a tour, a 1-day race to be specific about it. That's whatever I'm doing seems to be enough, and it just fits into what I have available to commit to cycling at the moment, and that's what it is.
And it fits your lifestyle right now as well, right?
Yeah.
You've just started, your business is like this year. You started this year.
I started it last year.
End of last year.
Yeah, I know it's combined the flash.
And it's 2 clinics now you have?
We have 4 locations actually.
4 locations.
Yeah. So it's progressed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where I try to apply what I approach as an athlete to the business, to try to give it my all, and then try to keep it going, and just trying to enjoy the process.
Yeah, doing is as you better than expected, or this is where you wanted to be at this time of the sort of development process.
Yeah, I think don't get me wrong. It's been hard, right?
Yeah,
it's been as you would know. Yeah, I think it's a small business.
Well, it takes everything you got.
Yeah.
If you were to put 40 hours a week, you can put 40. If you want 60 hours a week, you can put 60. If you want to put 80, you can put 80, right?
Mate, like there's no way to actually properly put this across until you actually done it yourself.
Yeah. And there's no safety net.
Yeah.
That's the difference. If you're working for a
Absolutely.
restructured hospital and something really bad happens, or you don't have patients, you still get your salary.
Yeah, exactly, man. And there's no switching off. There's no such thing as, look, it's not my problem. There's no such thing as, look, I don't care.
You're the HR department. You are the complaints department.
At one point in time, I was the recep. Yeah. I was the ops manager. I was the podiatrist. I was the janitor. I was a clinic assistant. I was everything, And
any given day, I'm one of those as well.
Yeah, and then you obviously running a business, I think it's part of culture. People glamorize it and look and say, look, you're a boss and you're like a tauke or whatever.
Yeah, or you can dictate your own hours, which you can't.
Yeah, but let me tell you, man, like it's so the buck stops here.
Yeah, of course.
The buck stops here. So you can't kick the can down the road and you can't say, look, this is not my problem. Like everything in the business is your problem and there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah, and let's just say a kid vomits on the floor, right? You can't just say, "Oh, let the cleaner clean it up," because there's no one to do it.
Exactly.
You got to get down your hands and knees and do it, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I think I kind of like it that way because you're accountable to yourself, and you push as hard as you want to go,
and the rewards, not reward, but recognition or the accomplishment.
Yeah,
it feels more of your own.
Of course, and I think the satisfaction comes from seeing your work grow, and you have a direct input into the growth of this business that you have. So I think all in all, I would say it's a positive. I'm focusing on enjoying the process and trying to, even like in the moments when it's tough, to enjoy the moment that that this is the stage your business is at, and you will never get this stage of the business back. Yeah. Down the road, right? It's like you have a baby, right? Like a little kid, and then when when the kid's 3 or 4 months old and you're waking up at night and you're tired and you're just angry or frustrated that this is the 4th time you've woken up, but down the road when when the kid's older, you think back at those nights when you have to get up and you're like, I kind of miss it.
Yeah, I mean, my 12-year-old doesn't even talk to me anymore.
Yeah, I mean, my kid is still 3, so he's still talking to me. But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I think it's also important to kind of really enjoy where you are in business, because it just changes, and
the perspective changes a little bit when you realize that you've chosen this path, right? No one has forced you to do it. This is your path. So if it's difficult, but this is like your own story. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So this is something for you to forge, and it's kind of like how I approach all aspects of my life as well. You just want to march to the beat of your own drum, and you want to just carve your own story, right?
Yeah.
Write your own book. So this is part of it.
So you're retired, right?
How many times have you emphasized?
Somehow you became the national champ on the road and on the TT this year.
Yeah, so I think that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
And I did not expect it.
I know my buddy Jerome was gunning for the road race.
Yeah, Jerome was very keen. He was.
I think he was too keen.
Too keen. Yeah. But I think it's part of the process for him. He learns.
Yeah.
Look, I spent 10 years trying to win the national champion. So I think in some sense it's good for the younger guys that they have to go through their own process of trying to win it and not getting it that easy. Yeah, because it's not easy. You say Singapore's a smaller cycling country or whatever tag you want to put on it, but it's pretty competitive.
Of course, you're still the best rider on that day in Singapore, right?
Yeah, you have to have the smarts to actually get it done. So I think, the younger guys, I think a lot of them were trying to go for it with big expectations, as I was when I was younger.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to see how that plays out with the younger guys, and I'm kind of further down the road.
So this year it was at Tanah Merah.
Tanah Coast Road, yeah.
How did you like that race compared to last year when it was in Bintan or Batam or something?
Yeah, I think, like, end of the day, like, a race is a race. I think Shane Bannon used to say, he's a sports performance director at SCF. He says, the riders don't make the race. Sorry, scratch that. The course doesn't make the race. The riders make the race. Yeah, so, you can have a pancake flat course and it can be ridden as hard and as intense as you would have on a mountain stage.
Yeah.
And you could like have a hilly course and then it's all neutralized and it's relatively easier. Yeah. So I don't really have any preference with the course. I think, as a bike racer, you try to enjoy it and just race it to the best of your ability.
And cross that line first, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what happens between the start. What happens at the finish?
Yeah, exactly. You just got to find your way.
How did the race play out for you? Like, what was just a brief recap?
Well, yeah, it seems like a while ago now.
Was it? Oh, in June?
Yeah, it was actually in June. So I think it was just me and Willie on the start line. Willie's part of the RS race team.
Yep.
We just wanted to approach it by being smart about it.
So Willie was the defending champ.
He was the defending champ.
And you were the defending champ you were the previous champ.
Previous champ, yeah. Okay. Correct. So I won in 2022 and then he won in 2023. And this year we went in together in the same team. So I think we've kind of something we're pretty proud of.
Yeah.
We've kept the title within the team for 3 years in running now. Yeah. So maybe the 4th or 5th year, let's see, but who knows. And we just wanted to be smart about it.
Yeah.
Look, I think end of the day, you have to kind of you have to respect the race for what it is, respect the riders, and you understand that there's a certain dynamic to the race. So we wanted to not show our cards too early, not be too keen, let the race play itself out, let the course, like the duration of the course, with riders trying to do the opposite, let them do more work first, let them expend their energy and then wait for the moment to strike. And then
it's just like a typical like the world champs, right? There's all these people who go off and you just let them go off and burn themselves out a little bit.
And I think the moment when we actually went, I kind of felt I could feel it reaching at crescendo, but I also felt that other riders were thinking that it would end up with a bunch sprint. Okay. So I think we attacked and got off the front with 15Ks to go, which is a lap and a half to the finish. And I think there were riders thinking that, look, nothing's going to go, because I think they were trying really hard to go before that. And then nothing really stuck. So they thought, look, this is going to go end up in the bunch sprint.
Yeah.
They went to the back to, relax and take a drink.
Yeah.
And that's when the hammer dropped and then we got off the front.
Yeah.
So and then it happened on a section where it was a bit windier. And I knew the guy who kicked it off was Matt Britton.
Okay.
From Matadors.
Yeah.
Ex-Olympic rower. Loves to pull a hard turn. And he tried the same thing the lap before.
Yeah.
And the race almost split. So I knew that he was going to try again. Because I think that was the hardest part of the course.
Yeah.
So I got myself to the front and stayed where I had to be. And when he kicked it off, I just followed the wheels, and then you turn around. It was actually a slight crosswind. So those people who say that Singapore it's not windy. It's just a pancake flat course and it's easy. That part of the course, when it's a bit of a crosswind, strong southerly from the Straits of Indonesia. So when you rip a hard turn at 50k an hour, and you're sitting in the gutter, you're gonna definitely feel it.
Yep.
So he did that, and then I turn around and I see like a long line of riders split up across the road, and basically the race was just breaking apart.
Yep.
So got on the front, drove a few turns.
Yep.
And then I think a group of 6 or 7 of us got away. And then I knew that was a winning move, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I kind of strongly persuaded that the rest of the guys, or maybe you could say
They shouted a little bit.
I usually use strong words. I said, look, guys, this is a winning move.
This is
like, yes, if we're gonna win it from this break, we gotta get up. Everyone's gotta commit.
Yeah.
No passengers. No one's gonna, shrink a turn. Right. Let's always get on the front. Do the eco share of work that we have to do.
Yeah.
And then just basically keep it to the finish. So that's what I did, and that's what we did. Sorry, and then we stayed away, and I think the bunch basically ran out of legs and ran out of heart to actually bring us back. And then when it came to the finish, I had to use my smarts a little bit.
Your trademark long range attack.
Yeah.
1K out, right?
No. I did. We came down to a sprint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're not really a sprinter, right? So.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is that I have a little bit of a kick, and I think if you know how to play that sprint well, you know when to go and you know when to really launch the sprint. And in fact, I would just say this, right, that the reason why I nailed that sprint, I would say actually the reason why I won was because I knew how to do the sprint. And the reason why I knew how to do the sprint was because I messed up the sprint 2 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
In 2022. Francois won that sprint.
Yeah.
And the reason is because I waited too long back then. And it's actually quite a deceptive finish, because you come around that bend and you think it's actually a lot. You can actually either think it's further than you think or closer than you think.
Okay.
So when you actually see the finish line, you may think that it's actually still really far out, but actually you're really close.
Yeah.
When you don't see the finish line, you think actually it's really near, because you come around this bend.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So it really
And how far actually is it? Like 500 meters?
Yeah. So once you turn around that bend and you see the finish line, it's 300 to go.
Oh, that's really close.
Yeah, and then obviously you're traveling at 40k an hour, so within a matter of like 10 seconds, you are already at where you have to launch a sprint. So once you kind of like, I obviously practiced the sprint. I hit multiple times. I knew where I had to launch, learning my lessons from like 2 years before.
And that's a great technique to use as an athlete, right? Is to play it through your head and understand what's going to happen, where it's going to happen. So there's no element of chance in your brain. It's not a spur of the moment decision. You plan, you
exactly. Yeah. And in 2022 when I didn't win, I felt like really upset and really, and in fact kind of embarrassed, like to be honest with you, that I didn't win it. So, but I would say that was the reason why I won it this year, because I knew from my failures what I had to do. Yeah. And because of that, I knew how to execute it.
I think it comes back to the smarts of having the experience of the race, right?
Yeah, and also I would say just having done it before and put yourself out there, and look, end of the day, if you don't make it this time, it's just feedback for you to do better next time. Yeah. So I suppose it boils down to you giving yourself enough shots. Yep. And putting yourself out there to give yourself enough shots.
You're not, if you're in the back of the pack chasing you guys, you're never gonna have that chance, right?
Yeah. So actually, in retrospect, Arfan, who was part of the break, he went way too early.
Oh,
right. Okay. And then and he went from like, because I think he was sort of the perspective that it was a lot nearer than he thought, but he couldn't see the finish line.
Oh,
good. So he was already sprinting before we even as we're coming around the bend. So like he went from like 600 meters to go. Sorry, and then that basically gave me the perfect lead out. Yeah. And then the guys who were waiting for the sprint, I think they were hesitating because they kind of were of the perspective that look,
you've gone too early.
They've gone too early, right? Or it's still quite some way to go. So I was sitting on last wheel and I, be out of sight, out of mind almost from the rest of them. And I obviously, that also was an advantage to me because I knew how to jockey for the last wheel, which is a whole topic in itself because you almost have to fight for the last wheel, you know, and then execute the sprint from there, which is the best position to be. So I jockeyed for the last position, waited for the perfect moment, and then just took a flyer from the back. So by the time they saw me coming past, I was going like 5Ks.
If you take a flyer from the back, by the time you're passing the front, there's no chance.
Yeah, you're like 50 meters ahead already. Yeah. So then I even like could sit up with 25 meters to go to celebrate. Yeah. So pretty special moment.
And was that before or after the TT?
That was before the TT.
So you came into the TT, already won the road race. Is that which one do you hold higher in?
Oh, definitely the road race.
On the trophy cabinet is higher road race.
Definitely the road race. Yeah, definitely the road race. I think partly because
so then by the time you get to the TT, the pressure's off because you've already won the road race because you've already got the one that you wanted.
Yeah,
and then this is like cherry on top.
Yeah, I think actually even I would even say that there was no pressure for the road race. There was no pressure for the TT because, and this is also part of the reason why I could race as freely as I did, and I part of the reason why I won as well because there was no It was not to say there's no pressure, because obviously you line up, you as a racer you want to win.
Yeah.
At the same time, if I won, I wasn't desperate, you know.
Yeah, because if you missed that sprint and then the year before you missed another sprint and then you're injured the next year, then it's sort of it ends up time is running out. I got to win this year. I've got to win this year. And then,
yeah. So I wasn't desperate to win. If I just wanted to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was just like we spoke about before, I had other priorities. So I just did it just because I enjoyed racing.
Yep.
And I wanted to obviously, give my best to whatever I did.
Yep.
So I just decided to just line up and then, obviously if I'm there, I'm going to take a chance at winning.
Of course.
But I wasn't desperate, which actually played into the hands, it played into the favor of myself because I wasn't desperate to go into like moves that I thought it was.
And you didn't burn matches too early.
Didn't burn too many matches. Was willing to wait, and I even told Willie we should go into the mindset that look, we are both champions from 2 years from each other 2 years before. So look, if we've already won it once, if the guys who wanted to win, they should be the ones that are more desperate. They should do more work. If you don't win, it's fine.
It's not like the yellow jersey where you can lose it in the race. Right?
Yeah, we've already won it. So if you want to go win it, you should do more work and take your chances, Paris, and we just bide our time.
Yeah. And then so the TT was just a nice strong ride that you did, or is it a?
Yeah, so I think actually to qualify this, I actually finished second, but first Singaporean for TT.
So the road race you won completely outright.
Correct. Yeah, which is pretty special.
Yeah, like
you always won that. And as a TT in a TT, I was 5 seconds behind this. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, but he's a triathlete and he was training for Kona.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's a proper and 2 weeks before he did a 200k ride on his CT bike. Strong boy. Yeah. But he won the TT by 5 seconds. But also, I think to be honest with you, I'm pretty lucky that I have like the very good equipment.
Yeah.
Because now TT is all about aerodynamics. It is all about aerodynamics, but now than before, people are paying more attention to it.
They say that in triathlon, the top 5 triathletes, they spend like $100,000 a year on coaches and aerodynamics and nutrition and all this sort of stuff. So they've almost got an unfair advantage against the rest of the triathletes. Yeah. You're a struggling pro. You just made your pro card, and these guys are dropping big money on this sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's really an arms race. Yeah. So I was very lucky that RS Cycles sponsors me.
With the factor bikes, right?
Yeah, with the factor bikes. And hand on heart is the Hanzo it's very, very fast bike.
Yeah, I love the Hanzo. I just love the way it looks. It's really, really nice.
I mean the track bike, the track version of the factor range went to the Olympics and won the TP by more than second. Yeah, the world record as well. The Australian team were all on factors.
They were, okay.
Yeah, so obviously the technology is fairly similar.
Yeah.
So I was on really good equipment. Had a top tier skin suit from No Pin. Aerodynamic base layer.
Yep.
So that counted a lot of the advantage.
Yeah.
And I just had my position was good as well.
Yep. And then nothing went wrong as well during this, right?
Nothing went wrong. Oh, yeah, nothing went wrong. Okay. I was actually thinking about the team time trial when you said that because we actually won that as well. We won the quad team time trial and the duo.
Yeah.
And we in duo team time trial, I was actually riding on a slow leak.
Oh no!
Yeah, slowly.
Okay.
I was running clinchers, right, for both the TT and the TDT.
Yeah.
And the mechanics, the boys were saying like, look, you shouldn't do it. You're gonna get a puncture. And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go with the fastest equipment.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the chance, and I'm gonna clinchers, lowest rolling resistance, latex tubes.
Yeah.
And that was what I was set up on. And then to my good fortune, I was the slow leak that happened on the for the TT duo was, I don't know when it actually happened, but when
Did you feel it at the end of the race?
when I was warming down, I couldn't really feel it.
Yep.
But then when I look, there were pictures of us on the finishing straight, and my tire was like half flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was actually, I don't know at what point it was already leaking, but lucky it didn't go in a
Yeah, it didn't explode.
explosion.
Yeah.
Because it obviously would have spoiled our race.
So, last Sunday, you in the breakaway of the Tour de France, Prudential Criterium, right?
Yeah.
How? Just tell us about that race. It was. I was there maybe 50 meters from after the finish line, so I saw everyone crossing every lap.
Yeah.
We had a great time. Me and my son were having an awesome time there, just cheering everyone on, and you can see everyone going past.
Yeah.
What was the atmosphere like in the whole week leading up, I guess?
Mate, incredible, man.
Yeah.
Like, I think this year was the best out of the 2 years in terms of the crowd atmosphere.
This is the third year it's been done. I remember the first year it was at the floating platform.
It was.
It was horrible. As a spectator, it was horrible. I don't know as a rider, but as a spectator, because it was just a grandstand with no shade.
Yeah.
And it was really, 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 really hot.
Yeah.
And then I remember all the riders were under the grandstand, and
We're loving it.
well, no, but that
wasn't
was
cool.
Like we could go and touch them and feel like they were so close. And I'm not sure how comfortable they were with all the fans being so close, right? The next year it was at
It was
Suntec.
very comfortable.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it must have been awful, right?
Yeah.
The next year they're at Suntec. They had that little pit lane area.
Correct.
So if they wanted to see a fan, they could sort of go to the barriers and talk to you. If you didn't want to, the fans couldn't get close to them. Yeah, that seemed fine. But this year, what do you call that place? Esplanade Park.
Yes. Yeah, the Esplanade Park.
Yeah. And the start finish line was right in front of the museum or Parliament House or something. I'm not sure.
Right in front of the Padang, actually.
Yeah, Padang, yeah. And it was great. And I think at the finish line, it was like 2 or 3 people deep.
Oh, crazy, man.
Yeah.
Crazy. It was
I don't know how was it on the rest of the course.
Yeah, on Esplanade Bridge, it was incredible. They were lining the entire stretch of the Esplanade Bridge from Connaught Drive, the bridge.
Where the Fullerton Hotel is, right?
Correct, yeah. All the way down to the U-turn. And then
Is that free? Is that free
it
viewing
was
there?
actually free, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. But that's actually what cycling is all about, right? Yeah. You want that proximity. You want that, you go to the Tour de France.
Outdoors is no tickets, right?
Exactly. So I think that was actually the authentic experience.
Yeah.
And because of the U-turn at the bottom of the course, where you are closest towards the Suntec end.
Yeah, more Memorial end.
The riders had to slow down and then speed up again, so you could get up really close to the riders. And then on the bridge itself as well, there was a bit of not a hairpin, but a tight corner as well.
Yep.
But so we had to come wide to the barrier and then take the fastest line across. So if you were standing right on the barrier as we came past, you could literally like touch us. So I think the fans were treated to a spectacle.
And then, so when I first arrived, the the amateur crit was still going. And so I saw that at Esplanade side, you come down over the bridge and there's a U-turn, you head back over the bridge, there's another U-turn, and then you come back.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like an S.
Yeah.
Going, right? And I thought, you guys, the riders must hate that. But as a spectator, I get to see you 2 or 3 times going through there at a speed where I can recognize the faces.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're sitting at the a start-finish line, everyone goes past at 50 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
It's impossible to see who's
For
who.
sure. So, I think actually that's why this year the atmosphere was the best out of the 3.
Yeah.
Because I think, if you think about it, the event space was packed into a bit of a square.
Yeah.
Right? So as opposed to like a wider course where in the first year you went along floating platform, more memorial, Esplanade Bridge. So the service area of that event was a lot wider.
And I remember some of the footage. It's like you guys are out by yourselves out in the middle of nowhere.
Correct. Yeah.
There's no spectators around.
Exactly. So like this time around, it was almost like an arena. You had all the fans packed in this little square, and then the riders were just coming past repeatedly.
Yeah.
So with the whole up and down Esplanade Bridge bit, I think the riders, like you said, the fans would see the riders multiple times when they slow down. So I think that added to the atmosphere, the spectacle, and also that the noise, you know. So I think that contributed to the crazy atmosphere.
Yeah.
I had a bit of goosebumps, right?
Yeah. So I'm at the start finish line where you can bang on the barriers, right?
Yeah.
And every time you go past, hey, Boon, go. But as a rider, you can't hear that, right?
Yeah,
it's just like one big roar, big roar, right?
It was just like all noise, right?
Yeah.
But where you could really hear people shouting your name was when you actually slowed down towards the U-turn.
Okay.
Right? And then obviously because you go a lot slower, there's less wind in your ears.
Oh, yeah, true.
So then you can hear people shouting and you know, thanks for all the guys who shouted to me. Some people were like really like screaming.
Yeah.
And then you could see some faces as well. So that was pretty special.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something, man. Like you're absolutely right in the sense that like that U-turn bit was not enjoyed particularly much by the riders.
I can imagine, because it's just a typical yo-yo, right? Where
It is.
the elastic band stretches and then it goes back and stretches and go back.
You brake so hard to get in, you sprint full gas out. You know, if you're
Can you imagine two-thirds,
Oh.
the back third of the race is horrible.
brutal. Like when the guys are already coming out from the opposite end, and you're still going into the corner, and then you come out, you're doing like a full-on sprint, and then
And you can see them already going the other direction.
exactly. So it was not pleasant for the legs, but I don't know, man. I don't know whether the organizers strategically designed the course like that because they wanted the atmosphere, but I think they might have stumbled on the winning formula.
Yeah.
Not that I encourage them to do the same course next year, because if I do get to do it again next year, I would not be very happy if I had to do it again.
Does that play into why you were in the breakaway? Because you were in the breakaway for at least half of the race, I think.
Yeah, I think
It's easier to get in and out of the corners. It's easier.
no, actually, it's a lot harder because
Is it?
I was shuffled back because I'm not a Euro pro, right?
Yeah.
So I was shuffled back quite a bit.
Okay.
But I could tell that the rhythm of the race that they were going to let moves off the front after each sprint. Because Because Gamay won
Every 5 laps.
every 5 laps. Yeah, so Gamay won the
Well, Ryan won the first and second sprints.
Correct.
And
he won the last one as well.
then it was Anand Ali won the second and the third and the fourth ones, I think.
No. So like he won the first 2 intermediate sprints.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas De Gent
Oh, Thomas again.
won the third one.
Okay.
Because we were in a break together, he went off the front. And Binny won the fourth one again.
Okay,
He went up into the break. And I kind of let him out because I sprinted a bit. It's pretty cool to lead a if you just went out.
Kept him in the line.
Nah, there's no chance. He just had to go into like second gear. He outkick me, you know. But I think it was pretty cool to lead him out. Yeah. So no, I think it was actually a lot harder to get into the break because you know the course is really tight. You really have to obviously to get to the front. You need to be near the front. But if you're shuffled back, then it's a lot harder to get to the front.
From the back to the front must be at least 100 meters.
Yeah. So I kind of like, bided my time a little bit, and I could tell when after the second intermediate sprint, as with the rhythm of the race, people would sit up and then moves would go off. So I kind of found my way close to the front again when the sprint went off, and then when they set up to kind of regroup, I went over the top.
Yeah.
And I think by that point, Kev was pretty happy to let his Astana guys just control the pace.
Yeah.
And so that basically, you're not constantly chasing moves and tiring yourselves out. So we got off the front and basically they had to manage the gap. So they just hung us out there.
It's actually amazing how quickly they can shut the gap down.
Yeah.
Like it was a 15-second breakaway.
Yep.
And then half a lap later, it's like 5.
Yeah. So they turned it up, and obviously there were a couple of teams, managing the gap as well.
Yeah.
Alpecin, Astana obviously for Kev, and then Lotto for Deli. Yeah, and then Intermarché wanted Goubert for Bini as well. And yeah, man. So if they wanted to bring it back, which they did for the sprint, they did it pretty easily. But they were suffering though.
It's so much hotter than they used to. As well.
So they were all
humid.
They were all like complaining because they said it was raining in the morning, and then in the afternoon the sun was blazing, and because of the rain, it made it even more humid for the race. So like they were just caked in sweat, and Kev was just like, just suffering. Told me he vomited
during the race.
Yeah, he told me he vomited during the race. He said because he doesn't view the heat well.
Yeah. So
he said that he actually vomited during the race, and then he was actually on the limit. So if you watch the sprint, he came off Jasper's wheel.
Yep.
Quintessential Kev style.
Yep.
Sprinted, and then he sat down and then he got up again and sprinted.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why he sat down was because he was stuffed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he saw the lead time. He was like, "Oh, I better keep going."
yeah.
Yeah, but he was legitimately stuffed. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Did you? So you met? Obviously, you met all the riders, right?
Yeah.
Any impressions of any that were particularly kind or anything like?
Yeah, man. So I got to know Kev pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Rumi as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look, man, like I would want to sound as if I'm the best friends because like I obviously hardly know them. But you know, I don't think I can pay a bigger compliment to them than to say they are normal human beings.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I don't want, I think they, because the crazy thing is that when I then register that, look, they are Cavendish, they are Froome, this is a Binny, and you're like, man, these guys are the absolute gods of the cycling world.
I remember last year when Tade was here, he's quite tall, but he's like a skinny little boy looking like what's a sickly prince they call him, right?
Yeah.
But he's like superhuman.
Crazy. And like you recall that people would line up, for hours along the streets of like rural France or in Singapore, like chase them for an autograph.
Mm-hmm.
But actually I can tell you that, like they want nothing more than to be treated like a normal human being. Like, they just want you to speak about normal things and like, just to show them the courtesy you would to a normal human being.
Yeah.
Like Kev, for one, I can tell you he hates people like
kissing his ass.
Yeah, not kissing his ass, but like shoving a phone in his face, you take a picture, and like he will oblige, right? But I think, when you don't actually like respect him for who he is, you think he feels like he's treated like a commodity.
Yeah.
Like, there are times when you will be speaking to like someone and then someone would like just interrupt him and ask for an autograph.
Yeah.
Mate, he's pissed.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, like, they just want to be treated as normal human beings, but at the same time, they just have this amazing ability as cyclists to do like crazy superhuman things. But, like I said, I don't think I can pay a bigger compliment to them as to who they are as people, like, and to just say that they're not, that they're normal human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all staying in the same hotel. They're all just hanging out. And
and they're humble. They just want to, they've got families. They have the same insecurities, like, and I think that's maybe why they are so relatable and so inspirational at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like, for example, like Kev said, like one of the reasons why he wants to stop is because the hardest part is being away from his family.
Yeah.
And he went through the whole stage where he went to depression. And then he had all these, he basically went to rock bottom and he came back up. You saw the documentary on Netflix, right? So these are the same things that a normal day-to-day people can relate to. We go through the same struggles, but, he goes through it and he comes out the other end and he's now the greatest ever sprinter. But at the same time, the human experience is the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it unique and
the context is a little bit different, but, we all go through the same issues, right?
And so I think they want to just be treated normally and, just talk to them as a normal person and understand them and appreciate them.
Yeah. I think he likes Singapore because he came last year for the race. He was here for the F1. He was lucky for the race.
He loves it, man. Like I really asked him a few times, and like we wrote down to the start together. And I asked him like, look, I told him like, it's special that you chose Singapore, but why Singapore and why not, Malta or somewhere else, right? And he looked me straight in the eye and he said, look, I love it here.
Yeah.
He said like Singapore has this like buzz about it. And he said like, why not, He was comparing it to the Saitama crit where he was in Japan before. Yeah, he said like, Singapore has this vibrancy. Yeah, Saitama they've been doing it for many years and the Japanese are very ardent fans of cycling.
Yeah.
But it just feels like not obligatory, but at the same time it's not dynamic. It's not like exciting,
I think just being in a country that was English based would be easier for him, right? He can just walk down to the local store and talk.
100%, 100%. And then he says that like, it's got this good blend where people are like crazy about cycling, but not too crazy.
Not fanatical.
Yeah, he told me that, funny enough, that the one place that he can't even walk down the street is this city in Asia. Guess where?
Okay.
To make a guess.
Langkawi.
Shenzhen. He said in China he can't even walk down the street to go to the supermarket. He said he would just get like literally mobbed.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was so surprised. He didn't expect it. Yeah, so but in Singapore, like obviously they're crazy fans here, but those who know cycling.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to like go down to 7-Eleven and get something like from the
Get an ice cream or something.
an ice cream, yeah, he's not gonna get mobbed like.
And you won't get a photo taken of him look Cavendish eating an ice cream.
Yeah. So like, and I think he can still have this like relative obscurity, but I think he told me Shenzhen was just like bananas.
Yeah. Wow.
So and I think I think he just so like I said, I think it's pretty special that he chose this country of ours to finish off his career. It's a historic moment, and I think it'll be pretty cool to say I've been there. I was there when he did his last ever professional race.
You can say you raced him at his final race. I can say I was at the finish line for the final race.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool actually.
Got scolded by him 3 years in a row.
So what happened to you at the finish? I saw you at the finish. You were off the back. Was it just that you just worked too hard during the race and?
Yeah, so I think I was definitely a bit spent.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like I just felt like, look, there's no point.
You're not going to win the sprint, right? Because there's 4 world-class sprinters there.
Yeah, just enjoy the atmosphere, man. Like I was, it was pretty. It's a pretty special feeling to be like racing in front of a home crowd. Like like it gives me goosebumps, man. Like when you're racing, obviously you're focused. You are like you are following the wheel. You're in the moment, right? But
and it's your home as well. You can see Marina Bay Sands. You can see everything that you.
But you take a step back and you kind of like disengage slightly when because you're not actively in the race. Like it's just such an incredible feeling.
And then you were saying before, if you slow down a little bit, you can actually hear people speaking.
And then you can see like some familiar faces. Yeah, you can hear like the crowd cheering your name. It's pretty cool moment. Last year because I thought it was my last race, so I kind of intentionally dropped back just to for the last step, just to soak up.
Yeah, Willie, I think Willie did as well.
Yeah, and I was like, man, this is like pretty cool, right? So like this year, I'm like, okay, I'll do it again.
Yeah,
and I just wanted to like say hi to like a few people along the course. I saw a mate along the corner bridge, and I gave my bottle to him in like full on bottle grab.
Yeah,
and then someone passed me a beer on the finishing straight. I like full on grab. You grabbed the cup, but because we're still going pretty quick. You're cruising, so like I smashed half the cups. And like beer was leaking out. And I scarred it straight away. So but it was pretty special, man. Yeah, pretty special.
So next year you come back and do it again if you can.
Yeah, if I have the chance, I would. I think it's a pretty cool experience. Definitely, as if I get an opportunity, I would. Yeah. And I think that you obviously have to be deserving of it.
Yeah,
so
of course.
If I am deserving of it, I'll do it. If I'm not, then someone else can also step up and do it.
So you are national champ. So obviously you're on the national team still, right? Let's say as the national champ, I'm assuming this is how it works, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think I'm available for call up, right? So look, it's always a proud moment representing your country, and I think that it's something that I don't want to take for granted.
Yeah.
And like I had a chance to do that on Sunday.
Yeah.
And you don't want to ever take any opportunity for granted.
Yeah.
So if the calling comes and I am at the right place at the right time, I would obviously
But you don't travel to like these UCI 2.1s in Indonesia or anything anymore, right? You just, if there's something happening here, you will do it. If it's not, you won't.
Yeah, it's kind of hard now with business and life and family. But I think if I have the opportunity and like I said, right time, right place, I think I would do it because I think I just enjoy the bike racing, enjoy the racing. So if that works out, then it will. And how it's a proud moment to put on your country's colors. So I'll take any opportunity to do so and hopefully do the country proud.
Yeah, man. Last question is the SEA Games is next year. Are you? I think last SEA Games you did a full tilt and and you basically you became a monk for a year and you went all in. I can't imagine you're gonna do that again, right?
No, I think it's not possible.
Yeah,
I think I'm at a stage in my life where I've got 2 young kids, a growing business, so it's gonna be very hard to take time off and just put everything aside and then just focus on that. Which I think it's, if you really want to be the best athlete you can, you almost have to be selfish and do it.
Yes,
which is actually quite unhealthy in itself. But let's not open a can of worms and go into that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the way I see it is, look, I've got a plate in front of me, and I have bigger priorities, big priorities in the family and the business. So, I've got 3 portions on my plate.
Yeah.
And at the same time, portion for cycling.
Sure.
Look, I'll give 100% for the cycling bit because I enjoy it. I would want to do well in it as I would with, my family and my work. But in absolute terms, I can only commit this much.
Yeah.
So if I commit this much and somehow I'm able to be at that level where I can be up for selection or I can be something of meaningful
would you go as let's just say Riyadh has a great year next year and he's flying it, would you go as a domestique
100%.
and help out as much as you could?
100%, yeah. I think I'm at a stage where, look, I as a racer, you always want to win. So, and I think for the betterment of the athletes around you, you want to make sure that you keep them honest and you win when you can, right? You want to kill, right? But at the same time, that I think I'm at a stage where I really just want to pass on whatever I can.
Yeah.
Help develop the next generation of guys, and that's also kind of why I'm still cycling because I you see me on Sundays when I go to the crazies. I think I enjoy the interaction. I enjoy the bit of a mentorship. I pass on what I can.
How is the young crop of Singaporean cyclists?
Yeah, pretty good actually. I think we've got a good bunch of guys ahead. Okay. I think the current crop that is immediately behind me, they are going through this phase where they have to go through NS.
Yeah.
And NS is NS, right? So I think if they kind of stick to what they love and they keep on the pedals, so to speak, I think they'll come out the other end stronger for who they are. And I think, we have a good crop of guys going through. And so I think I want to make sure that I mentor them as well as I can, pass on whatever I can, because at this stage, you obviously want to win, but at the same time, as a team, as a bunch of guys, you want it to grow.
Yeah.
And I also hope to pass on, through an active example of what you can achieve or what you can where you can still be if you enjoy what you do.
I think on like something like the NBA, you see it quite often where the veteran players, just like Vince Carter, for example, he was a huge star, and then for the last 5 years of his career, he wasn't the huge star anymore, but he was still very much in demand, very much needed on the team because he can teach all the up and coming guys.
Yeah, pay it forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of the evolution of anyone, you just want to see, you take a lot of pride when you see like the people you've tried to help grow to the people they become, and you have the satisfaction. And I think the boys who are coming up, they deserve their shot to go as far as they can go.
Yeah.
And if I can nudge them in the right direction, I will do my best. And I just want to pass on the lessons that I've learned, the mistakes that I've made, the failures that I have, and hopefully they don't make the same mistakes, but at the same time allowing them the space to grow for themselves.
They have to. Sometimes you gotta make mistakes.
Yeah. And in fact, I think that's one of the most important lessons I've learned through cycling, is that I think there's this whole thing of like the fear of failure, the fear of being judged, the fear of not wanting to put yourself out there because you're afraid you'll fail.
But people that there's a certain mentality where people don't compete because they don't think they're going to win.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's absolutely right. And I think not only in cycling but in life, you don't want to give it a nudge. You don't want to give it a crack because you're afraid of not failing.
Yeah,
not winning or failing, and then you start to feed yourself negative ideas to suck yourself out of it.
What ends up happening is you don't compete. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
You're not going to compete, so you're not going to win. So you don't win. So
cliche as it sounds, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I think in Singapore, especially with our culture, we are very kiasu and kiasi.
Yeah.
If you know what that means, and we more than other cultures, we kind of want to stay in our comfort zone because we don't want to be judged by others, and we don't want to push ourselves to the limit too much, right? So, and I think that's why, this is a can of worms that we might go on for another hour. But I think fundamentally that's why Singaporeans, as a society, we even the government tells us, we're not very, they try to encourage us to be more entrepreneurial, right? Go to regional countries and start businesses and so on and so forth. And obviously want to do better in sports.
Yeah.
But I think what's holding us back collectively as a society in excelling in those areas is because we always want to pautia. We always want to make sure that we can get something out of it before we go into it.
Yeah.
And then, but in sport, for example, like there's only one gold medal. Yeah. There's only one winner.
Yeah.
So if you think of it statistically, if you go into any race or any sporting event, the odds are stacked against you.
Yeah, of course.
So every athlete who wants to go in and go in for the win, they must recognize inherently that the odds are low.
You're probably going to lose so many more times than you're going to win.
Exactly, man. And you're putting in all the hours. You live like a monk. You sacrifice so much just for that 1 in 100 chance, or 1 in like 1,000 chance to win.
Yeah.
And if you put it on the betting table, I think no better would actually accept it. Right? But at the same time, like, you have to accept that is the path that you choose. And I think because as Singaporeans, we don't accept failure very well. We always think that a failure is a nail in the coffin. So we don't ever like put ourselves out there. It's through failure that you kind of improve. Like I like to say that, there's no failure, only feedback. And I think if you just have the slightest of mindset shifts, I think you can basically grow and really surprise yourself.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I think people don't really care, man. Like, I think, if we just, especially now with social media, we think that everything's under a microscope. You think, people will judge us, and, if you don't do well, and people think we are loser. But actually, people don't really care. Like, people just have their own busy lives. So, they might just see something and, like, you didn't make it. And, like, then they might just say 1 or 2 lines about you and gossip about you. Like, but fast forward
2 weeks later,
you're gossiping about someone else, right?
Exactly.
So, like, why? But you allow that to get into your head, and you feed yourself that. And I think that becomes very toxic to yourself, and a lot of people kept themselves because of it, and not ambitious because of it.
Yeah, true, man. Okay, so I guess your Instagram and your company names haven't changed since last time, right?
No, mate.
Boon K Yeo is your Instagram.
That's right.
Correct. And PodiatryQuest SG is your company.
That's right.
So anyone has foot issues and
who to find.
Yeah,
friendly
cycling insoles,
foot problems. We see people, all types of foot problems actually. So like heel pain, arch pain, bunions, bunion issues, ankle pain, even some knee issues, and then and also like dermatological issues like heart calluses, hard skin, diabetic feet, fungal toenails, ingrown toenails, warts, corns, the yummy stuff.
Yeah. It's like some podiatry and dentistry are the two things that a lot of people don't want to go near.
What a way to end a podcast.
Nice. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks, man.
Let's catch up again.
Pleasure. Thank you.